I call this September 25th, 2023 meeting of the Rockingham County School Board to order. Thank you all for coming tonight. The first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Members, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you, Mr. Cross. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all so much. If you can all please remove your head coverings and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated. Will you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. We'll now move into our recognition and presentations portion of our meeting. And we're going to start with the school recognitions. And we're going to start with Wilbur Pence. If Mr. John Childs can please come forward. Where are you? And while Mr. Childs approaches the podium, I would just like to extend our gratitude for hosting us tonight and our lovely dinner. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you and your staff so very much.
Thank you. Madam Chair Lohr, Dr. Shiflett, members of the board, we gratefully welcome you here to Wilbur Pence Middle School here tonight for tonight's school board, where we like to say we embrace, empower, enrich, inspire as our school motto. I will be turning this over to Teresa Schenk and Jody Randolph for our Character Counts winners in just a second. I'll be recognizing our Volunteer of the Year, but before that, there are groups of people I would like to recognize. As all of you have entered the building, you probably notice how beautiful it is out front and how clean it is in the hallways, and these are some of our unsung heroes, but our custodial staff is top-notch. When you call the school and you get that friendly person that's always there and welcoming and wanting to be helpful to parents and the community, we are very pleased and proud of our clerical staff. And another unsung group of heroes I'd like to recognize unofficially is our cafeteria staff, as we have just an amazing meal every single time, and they're so welcoming and caring to the students. With that, I would also like to give a shout out to all the fresh fruit and vegetables this year. So I'd like to recognize them briefly before we turn it over. So first, I will turn this over to Teresa Schenk.
And while Ms. Schenk comes up, let's give a round of applause for all of those employees. And thank you for recognizing them.
Welcome. And I agree with him. We're so blessed with our staff here at Pence. I have the privilege of recognizing Miss Emma Foster. She, as one of our Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Awards winners. These are some things that her teachers convey about her. Emma is such a kind, creative, and amazing human. She is very observant and tries to always be her best. She is kind to other students. I have witnessed her coming alongside another student who needed reassurance in a stressful situation. It was beautiful to see. Emma is an amazing citizen. She is always helping others, working diligently, and being a great role model. She has always been someone I could rely on to do the right thing and help others when I couldn't. Emma always has a smile on her face. She works to encourage and help others while also striving to grow more herself. She is dependable, trustworthy, caring, and respectful, and she makes each and every day brighter. Emma is incredibly deserving of this special recognition. She holds herself to very high standards as a person and as a student. She faces every challenge with a positive attitude and a smile, and Emma is the first to lend a helping hand to someone in need. She is hardworking, dedicated, and loving in all she says and does. In short, Emma is the epitome of what a good role model strives to be. She always seems to be positive, and even when things are not going her way, I don't think I've ever seen her angry or frustrated, which is a great trait to have. No, Mom, you might, but we haven't. She works through problems that may arise. In short, Emma truly embodies the characteristics worthy of this recognition. Thank you, Emma. We're proud of you.
Wait a minute there, Emma. Whoa. You wanna step over here? Can I see you? Okay. Now, Emma, tell us who's with you.
This is my mom. Hi.
We're so glad to have Emma here, and when we have completed all of our Character Counts Award winners today, I'm going to talk a little bit about character, and I have some quotes and character to share with you. But the reason you heard why Emma has received this award, and so let's see what the award is. A certificate, hopefully to hang in your home, a pin to wear proudly, and I hope you like ice cream, because this is something from Klein's Dairy Bar.
Okay.
Let's give Emma a great big hand. Did you want to say anything, Emma?
Hey, Emma, can you come down and so we can all shake your hand
Oh,
too?
yes, that's a great idea. Oh, you did. Go ahead.
Next slide. The next slide.
Oh, Bryce. Bryce Driver, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Our next recipient is Bryce Driver. Is he here? Come on down.
That is Bryce.
All right, so here is what Bryce's teachers had to say about Bryce. Bryce is a gentle soul. However, he has leadership qualities. Quietly, he leads his group in cooperative learning activities. He has a positive attitude and can bring a smile to anyone. He is such a great role model to his peers and is so deserving of being recognized by his good character. Bryce is an all-around great guy. He is involved in a variety of activities from band, musical, track, and so much more. He never meets a stranger. He is always polite and respectful. He always does his best. He has a good sense of humor and is just a pleasure to have in the classroom. Another one of his teachers says that this is an amazing individual. Not only is he helpful, but he truly puts others before himself. He is kind to everyone and works to always achieve higher standards than the day before. He is delightful in every aspect of school activities, church events, community projects, extracurricular activities. When he was cast as the bully in our musical, it was one of the hardest things he has done because it is just not his personality. There is nothing that brings Bryce his positive attitude down. In a class full of many personalities, Bryce shines through in both thoughtful communication and leadership skills. He is continuously engaged and observant of his surrounding peers. I enjoy his presence in my classroom, his humor, and a higher level of maturity that he brings every day. Bryce is certainly a light and a leader at Pence Middle School. Thank you, Bryce.
Bryce, can you step over here? Do you have somebody here with you?
My mom and my sister are here.
Oh, let's invite them down. Come on down. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Bryce, I know that you're very happy about this, so I think, yeah, I like that better. He was smiling. You also receive a certificate to hang on the wall. There you are, Mom. And a pin to wear. And a Klein's. Oh, look at the smile for that. That was great. So, Bryce.
You actually gave it to me.
Let's give Bryce a great big hand, but please, please. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad that you are taking pictures. I just asked Caitlin. Thank you so much. Would you like to shake everyone's hand all the way to the line? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Volunteer.
I'm proud to introduce our Volunteer of the Year. Kim Kaiser is the 2023 Pence Volunteer of the Year. Kim and her family have been more than generous and willing to help out when and where needed for our Pence families. From helping to provide for holiday meals to providing basic necessities for all students. Kim has a way of showing an unselfish concern for the welfare of others. Kim truly reflects compassion, caring, patience, and gives without the expectation of receiving in return. Kim encompasses the meaning behind the word volunteer. Not to mention, she has raised two pretty amazing sons in Ben and Noah to also be selfless and compassionate individuals through her example. At this time, Kim, please come forward.
Would you like to step over here? Thank you. Thank you. We are thrilled that you're here.
Thank you.
Tell us about your boys.
My boys are Benjamin and Noah. They're 14. They're 8th graders at Pence, and they are sitting in horror right now at being called out. There they are.
Well, we would like to present to you, if I can get this open, we will, a certificate, and I hope you will hang this somewhere because you deserve it.
Thank you.
And a Klein's Dairy Bar for you also.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, before you leave, we're going to talk a little bit about all these recipients, and I'll give a great big shout out to all the volunteers, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Would you like to thank? Dance with
you.
everybody. Okay. All right. Audubon? Let's do Audubon. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, school board members and Dr. Shiflett. Can I have Wyatt Harmon and his family come down? Wyatt is a 5th grader at Audubon, and his classroom teacher has chosen Wyatt as one of the Character Counts recipients because he's always willing to help his classmates and teachers. He is a caring student who is friends with everyone in the classroom, and there's 25 of them, and some of them can be tough some days. Even when things get tough, I can always count on Wyatt to work hard and have a smile. And he's always so patient with his classmates. So Wyatt, we thank you for all that you do. You've really grown up.
Okay. Wyatt, would you like to stand over here? with Mom.
Yeah, this is the best part, getting your picture taken.
Oh, please. Oh, good. Thank you. Well, Wyatt, I heard all those wonderful words about you. Would Mom say that the same about you at home? Ah. What do you think, Mom?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, Wyatt, once again, we have a very nice certificate that I hope Mom will hang on the wall for you, and a pin for you to wear. And, of course, what do you think this is?
Ice cream.
It is. It's ice cream. Okay, enjoy, enjoy. Let's give him a big hand. Thank you. Thank you, Wyatt. Wyatt, would you like to shake hands with everybody down there? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Wyatt. Our next recipient is Madeline Morgan. If she and her family would like to come down. She's another 5th grader at Audubon. And her classroom teacher says that she's a role model student for Audubon. She's responsible with her things. She's always respectful to everyone in the building. She shows excellent citizenship and dedication in the classroom. And we have really enjoyed watching her become a young lady and next year here at Wilbur Penn's. So thank you, Madeline. You do a great job.
Would you all like to come forward over here? Well, Madeline, can you introduce everybody who's here with you?
This is my stepdad, my mom, and my dad.
Oh, nice to meet you all. It's wonderful. Yes, this is great. It's a great day for Madeline, as all the character counts winners, because here's a certificate for your mom to hang on the wall, and a pin for you to wear. And I know you know what this is. Ice cream. Let's give her a great big hand, and thank you. Thank you. And what we'd like you to do, Madeline, is to shake the hands of everybody over there. Would you do that?
Oh, can we get a picture first?
Oh,
Start
well,
moving. Maddie, can we get a picture?
They want you to take a
So we
picture
can put
first.
you on Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
Now you can shake.
Okay. You have a volunteer too? Okay.
We actually have 3 volunteers. And I love when these people come to our building. And that is Mr. Lenny McDormand, Maggie, and Lacey.
Okay.
Lacey's very tired. Maggie's the younger. These dogs and Lenny brighten up our school, and even since COVID, these are we swarm the office for when they come, and the kids love them. But here's what Miss Brubaker has said. She's our librarian, and she organizes them coming and visiting with our students. Lenny has been visiting at Audubon for 3 years. Lenny chaperones his 2 therapy dogs, Maggie and Lacey. Lenny and the therapy dogs bring joy to so many of our students and our staff members, especially me. By simply being present in our school, each time that Lenny visits, students have the opportunity to come to the library and read with Lacey or Maggie, or just simply visit with the dogs. Many times, students simply talk to Lacey and Maggie while enjoying their presence. Students leave feeling more relaxed and more confident around their peers because time spent with the dogs has fostered pro-social skills. When Lenny, Maggie, and Lacey are not in the library, they're popping into classrooms to visit students. And sometimes Maggie just leads the charge to a classroom. Maggie loves going into PE, especially when they're playing with balls. She has so much fun. They even make an appearance at field day each year. This partnership between Lenny, the students, and the therapy dog extends outside of Audubon Elementary School and into the community. Students are always very excited to tell staff members that they saw Lenny and the dogs out at the community, especially at the Clover Hill baseball games. Lenny has been a vital part of Audubon Elementary School due to the partnership created between him, the students, and the therapy dogs. We look forward to his many visits each time. So thank you. Lacey's trying to get out. Oh, Lacey.
Lenny, you don't mind stepping over here? Oh, good. I want everybody to see the dogs. Okay. Oh. Oh.
Oh, Lacey's being a good girl.
Thank you. Well, I leaned over and I said to Caitlin, when they called 3 names, I said, I only see 1 certificate, and that's for you, Lenny. But I think that Maggie and Lacey will enjoy this as well, and I hope you will let them lick the ice cream.
Well, I have a feeling I'll get a pup cup or 2 out of this.
Yeah, you might. Let's give them a big hand. Do you suppose that you can go down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I came around to put some
There you go. Who's this? What's up, big guy?
Maggie's very outgoing, aren't you, girl?
She's wondering where her treat is. Oh, yeah, we didn't bring treats. We didn't bring our
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, we love him. Dogs make everything better.
They do. Well, I'll say, Lenny, this was a first. We're glad to have them. Yes, it is.
Mr. Miller, top that.
Yeah, that's a tough,
You have to
tough one
follow
to
the dog.
follow. Tough one to follow. Gone to the dogs. Chairperson Lohr, members of the board, Dr. Shiflett, we are grateful to have a couple of fantastic students to recognize tonight. First up, Miss Ray is going to recognize Garrett Moyers. If we could bring up Garrett and his parents. Come on up, Garrett. I told Garrett at lunch today I was going to wear a bow tie for him. Look really spiffy. I don't think he believed me. And now he thinks I just look ridiculous, and that's okay. It's okay, Garrett.
Well, Garrett, Miss Caffo shared some information about you with us, and I'm going to read everybody what she said. According to his teacher, Miss Caffo, Garrett exhibits the 6 pillars of character in our school towards his peers and adults he interacts with on a daily basis. Garrett is the first student to offer a helping hand to myself and his classmates. Often, Garrett says encouraging statements to peers and gives plenty of compliments. He is a responsible, dependable, trustworthy, respectful student who is a role model to his classmates, and I appreciate his willingness to help others. And I have to say, I'm new to Mountain View, and I've only known Garrett for a very short time, but I couldn't agree more. So, congratulations, Garrett.
Would you like to step over here? Is somebody going to take a picture? Let's hope so. Oh, thank you, Candace, thank you. I have to take a picture. Good. Well, I think by this time, Garrett, you probably know what's going to happen. You know the drill. So what's first?
certificate.
Okay, I think he's got a little coaching over here. And before we go further, would you introduce your parents?
This is my mom and this is my dad.
They have names. We're just happy to have them here with you. Okay, and how about a pin for you and Mom? We hope that you'll hang this in the house somewhere special. And you know what's next? Your last?
Ice cream.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, thank you. And what we'd like for you to do is to shake everybody's hand here. Mom?
Hey, congratulations.
Dad?
He's a great kid. Okay, if I can bring the Paradise family down. Our female recipient is Anna Paradise. According to her teacher, Miss Lehman, Anna exhibits pillars of character daily in our school and in our classroom. She's an extremely responsible and dependable young lady. Anna goes out of her way to make sure that everyone feels welcome and included in our class. She's always offering help to others who are struggling with an activity or assignment and frequently asks me if there's anything she can do to help out around our room. I often hear her encouraging other students and giving compliments to those she comes in contact with. Anna is such a positive role model to her peers, and I appreciate her willingness to always go the extra mile in our classroom and in our school community. Congratulations.
Would you like to all come over here? Oh, okay. Oh, good. Well, I think the picture first, don't you think? Okay. Well, can you introduce who is here with you?
This is my sister and my mom and dad.
Okay, and your sister has a name?
Lily.
Hi, Lily. Well, Mom, of course you're going to hang this in the house for Anna. Thank you, thank you. In case you didn't hear it, Dad said proudly, thank you. And a pin for you, and I think for everybody. What's that? Ice cream. It's a dairy bar, right? It is. And we thank you so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about them.
Thank you.
Hi, Lily. Okay. Would you like to shake everybody's hand? Congratulations.
Congratulations again. I'm going to say it one more time. Okay, next up, I've got our parent volunteers. If we can bring up Miss Julie Shiflett and Miss Ashton Raleigh. In honor of them, I am wearing my Wonder Woman socks. Don't let the bow tie fool you. These are two Wonder Women. And they each brought a daughter. Miss Raleigh and Miss Shiflett are two moms who are at Mountain View so often we've considered giving them each their own parking space. Whether it is helping to organize the over 80 backpacks of food that go home with students in need over the weekend last year, providing meals for special events, collecting donations, or repairing our wooden playground. They're both at school all the time. Both are part of our PTO leadership team, and unbeknownst to them, they each email me following every meeting with more ideas and helpful resources to make our school a better place. Did you guys know that? You each email me. Yeah, it's hysterical. Anyways, let's hear it for Miss Shiflett and Miss Raleigh.
Since I don't know you, would you introduce yourselves and the daughter that you have with you?
I'm Julie Shiflett and my daughter Sophia.
Hi, Sophia. Hi, Julie. And this will be yours. And
Hi, I'm Ashton Raleigh, and this is Amelia Raleigh. And my other daughter is Ellie Rawling.
Give them a hand. It's absolutely wonderful to have you both here. This is the first two. We have a duplicate, a double. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Miller, this is a certificate for you and a Klein's Dairy Bar for everybody. And a certificate for you. And Klein's Dairy Bar as well. And would you mind going down and shaking everybody's hand? In case you're wondering why we spent such a long time on this, it is the reason is because character counts in our schools is very, very important. It's important because we want our students, your children, our children, the community's children, to grow up with good character, just as you do, we do. We all want everyone to have good character. And the Brittany Lamb, Kelly Cogsdale Award is a way to do this, to recognize those students who have exemplified the character that we want everybody in our school to achieve. And so I would like to, as usual, people who know me, I always have a quote. And for the students, will the students who receive the Character Counts Award please stand? Where you are, just stand where you are. Okay. Hard work spotlights the character of people. Some, whoops, wrong one, we'll save that one. We'll start with this one. Good character is not formed in a week or a month. It is created little by little, day by day. Protracted and patient effort is needed to develop good character. And this is by a very old philosopher, Heraclitus. And I think you exemplify every day you do something nice. The words that I heard from your principals, kindness, respectful, looking out for others. Every day you do something nice. Let's give these students a great big hand. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Now would the volunteers please stand? Okay. Hard work spotlights the character of people. Some turn up their sleeves, some turn up their noses, and some don't turn up at all. I would say, and this is a quote is by Sam Ewing, a baseball player. In your honor, Mr. Cross. Thank you. You're welcome. We would like to say a thank you for always turning up, and not just turning up, but turning up and giving and giving and giving. We couldn't do this without you. We thank you. Let's give them a great big hand.
Again, thank you to all of our students for being such great role models for the rest of our students, and to our volunteers for all of your hard work. And Mr. Miller, you brought adorable students, which was probably better than dogs. So thank you to everyone. Next, that concludes our recognitions and presentations. The next item on our agenda is public comments. Before we start public comment, let's just take a moment and let the kiddos slip out. And if you would like to slip out, now would be a great time to do so. Also, as we prepare for public comments, if you have a sign that you would like to hold up, I ask that you please go to the back of the room so that you don't impede anybody's view during public comments or during the rest of the meeting. I will also remind each speaker has 3 minutes total to speak. You will hear a tone at 30 seconds. At which point, if you can please wrap it up, because at 3 minutes, You'll have a tone at 30 seconds left to go. At 3 minutes, the microphone will be cut off. Everyone your comments should reflect the character counts pillars. Please address the school board as a whole, not individual members, and emotional outbursts will not be tolerated. Our first speaker will be Jackson Wells. Whenever you're ready.
So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jackson Wells. I'm a senior at Broadway High School, and I'm here in support of Jesse Miller. Jesse is one of the hardest workers I've ever known. For the 7 years I've wrestled with him, he's never missed a practice, never missed a lift, and he still hasn't missed one after learning that his senior season would be cut off. Most of you don't know Jesse, but if you do, you know his life has revolved around wrestling ever since he stepped on the mat. So I just want to give you some reasons why I believe the punishment he's receiving is harsh / ineffective and or could worsen the situation depending on the student. So as a school board, safety for the students should be the #1 priority. So my question is, why would you give a kid who messed up and put himself in danger because of free time more free time? It simply just doesn't make sense. You should want to keep the kids as busy as possible and give them something meaningful to compete for, to work towards, and something that makes them want to keep their grades up, to stay eligible, and above all else, to keep them in a safe physical and or mental state. And if this appeal can't help Jesse, I just hope it brings to your attention the fact that I believe there should be a rule change. The sad thing to me is there won't be one until a student is given this punishment and does something to harm themselves. As my time closes, I'd like to leave you all with something to think about. Idle hands is the devil's playground. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Drake Garrison.
Hello, my name is Drake Garrison, and I'm here today in support of Jesse Miller. Jesse Miller made a bad mistake, and I don't believe that it should cut off his senior season for something he's put so much work in. I was in the room this summer with him, wrestling 5 days a week, and I can't imagine putting that much work in over the summer and how many tournaments he's been to over the summer and just getting it taken away from him. It really is a horrible situation, and as Jackson was going off of, why give someone that had too much free time more free time to make bad decisions? I believe there should still be an alternate punishment. I don't think what happened should go under the table. I still think there should be a punishment if it is in form of community service or a version of poor school standing that still allowed the kids to keep busy and participate in sports or other activities like TSA, that's one I'm in. And I do believe being busy with sports and school brings good, will keep your mental health in check and not let you worry about other things that is going on through your life. And that's about all I had to say. But Jesse works really hard, and I hope this rule can be changed for if not him, for other people, so it doesn't affect other people how it is affecting him. Thank you.
Thank you, Drake. Our next speaker is Brooke Garrison. And I'll remind the audience to please, no emotional outbursts. Thank you.
I want to clearly state that I do not believe and condone underage drinking, but I do believe in the parenting philosophy of love and logic, that bad choices should have consequences. However, the punishment should also fit the crime. We've learned through COVID that when you take a kid's everything away, you have a high risk of bad outcomes. The wrestling community in particular was hit hard by this, which is why you can see their passion. We lost a young friend on the community that should have been in school and was instead in a fatal car accident during school hours. And this is near around the anniversary of that incident. We believe that a child, when they're taken from their full sport season, the whole trajectory of their life could be changed. They could lose scholarship opportunities, you could take their passion away, and it could impact their mental health over a single bad choice. What I'm suggesting is progressive discipline. We would like the school board to please consider community service as an alternative for a first-time offense instead of taking possibly a lot of their opportunities away with a single bad choice. Please consider the appeal for Jesse Miller and allow him to return to his sport, his passion. Please also do not take away the Gob Squad ability to have a clean tailgating alternative to celebrate the home football games. And with that, that's my piece. Please protect the children. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Michael Stemple will be our next speaker.
Yeah, I wish Board, Dr. Dr. Shiflett and Chair Lohr, I wish we had, excuse me, I lost my notes. Well, technical difficulties. Okay, I wish we could have more presentations like we had earlier. The character counts programs is what RCPS should be about. Unfortunately, there are some who want to play political games with our children. Trans lives matter, the life of trans youth matter, and that is why I'm here. I come from a faith tradition rooted in love and justice for those who are persecuted. The prophet Micah tells me that I'm to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. God, through the prophet Amos, has this to say to Youngkin and others who misuse the name of God and willingly cause harm to others. I despise your religious festivals. Your assemblies are a stench to me. Away with the noise of your songs, but let justice roll down like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. The injustice I am speaking of are the model policies proposed by the Youngkin administration. These poorly written standards are an attempt by certain political forces in Virginia to use kids, disgusting, as pawns in a political game. It is gross, disgusting, and those involved should be ashamed. Kids will die as a result of being forcibly outed on a timeline determined by bureaucrats in Richmond. I thought the Republican Party was a party of small government, but it's quite clear that some in the party want to control every aspect of people's lives. A school board member had mentioned the popularity of Youngkin in this county as a reason why RCPS should adopt these model policies. May I remind us all that about 70 years ago, segregation was popular and legal in RCPS. This very building was named after a Confederate general who killed American citizens within a year of Brown versus Board of Education. Just because something is popular doesn't make it the morally right thing to do. Lastly, I should point out a key piece in the law mandating the model policies related to transgender students. It says these standards should, and I quote, address common issues regarding transgender students in accordance with evidence-based best practices. These model policies proposed by the Youngkin administration clearly do not use evidence-based best practices as it relates to transgender students. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Joe Crockett.
You have to excuse me a little bit. My voice is pretty shot, and I have a tendency to modify what I'm saying all the time. So, my name is Joe Crockett. I've been involved as a teacher for 46 years at the college and high school levels. My children have graduated from the Rockingham County schools, as have my daughter-in-law, one grandchild. Another will graduate this year, and we have one in middle school here right now. I also wish to speak against the uncut agenda concerning trans students. The people that this agenda has ignored and shoved to the side are the students. The students don't vote, so we don't listen to their opinions. I have known students who went by non-traditional names. I had a cousin who wanted to go by George. It turned out it was her middle name. She wanted to go by that name for a while, and no problem. That's okay. The important issue should be the work the student does and how they comport themselves in class and other school activities. Parents are not allowed to beat a child to leave bruises or pull them by the arm, causing fractures. In order to protect the child, the courts have ruled that these actions physically injuring the child are not allowed. This agenda of the governor can have been passed in many states, but it does not protect the child. It only serves to demean and injure them mentally. We have a tradition in this country of majority rule with minority rights. Our students, children, are the minority that we are supposed to protect at home and in public. The governor, state legislatures, or school board are not injured by a student using a different name. The student is, if we go there. I urge the school board to reject this policy concerning trans students. This can be a very difficult time for them while they're in school, and they can become very depressed. If in the midst of depression, a student takes their life, I don't know what to say. Let's work for them, not against them. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment for the evening. We will move on to board member comments, and I think I'm going to start with Mr. Dixon.
I'll pass.
Thank you. Dr. McQuilkin.
Thank you, Chair Laura. This is board highlights. And I would like to start off by saying we thank Pence Middle School for hosting us this evening and holding our school board meeting. Gives us an opportunity for the first time in a long time to be in a school and be able to celebrate character counts. For that, I am grateful. I also would like to highlight the Rockingham County Harrisonburg's marching showcase the other evening held at Spotswood High School. I was in attendance and enjoyed every minute of watching our students participate. It was great. And so with those, I'm going to say, move on.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Mr. Carras?
Thank you so much to the staff here at Pence Middle School and for everybody who showed up tonight. I appreciate the public's comments and for everyone that's involved in your child's education. Tonight, my one and only highlight is Deputy SRO David Puffenbarger that's with us tonight, and he's in the back. And can we give him a big round of applause tonight? He is Pence Middle School's SRO, and he also services other elementary schools here in TA's district. But Mr. Puffenbarger has a long law enforcement career at Harrisonburg Police Department and maybe at JMU as well, I believe. But a lot of respect for you. Thank you for all your years of service, and thank you for wanting to come over here to Pence Middle School to be the SRO. So thanks for doing this job. I really appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Folk? Thank you. I'll go with mine. I was able to travel to, we'll call it New England. We stayed in Connecticut, but drove over to Massachusetts for contests with the FFA. not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and we had 5 teams from Broadway High School that all placed second in the contest. It was a regional contest including the entire eastern part of the United States. So lots of other teams were there, and we placed in all 5 categories, we placed second. And most of Virginia continued to place second. I think 1 team placed first and 1 team placed third, but for the most part, we had a lot of seconds, which made Virginia the sweepstakes winner for the entire contest. So that was pretty cool. That was definitely a highlight for me. Definitely eating lobster rolls and spending time with kids. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? And then tonight was absolutely a highlight. It's always great to be in the schools. Thank you for hosting us, and thank you to everyone who brought character counts and volunteers. That definitely warms my heart and reminds me why this job is a privilege to do. So thank you. Those are my highlights. Dr. Shiflett?
Thank you, Chair Lohr. So officially fall is here on the calendar, and it's beginning to feel a little bit like fall in the cool mornings, cool evenings, feeling like football and marching band weather. So we're happy to celebrate this time of year. We have completed our first full month of school, and things overall appear to be going pretty smoothly. We've had a few hiccups here and there, but overall it's going extremely well. And I kind of want to piggyback off something Mr. Childs was speaking about earlier. I guess maybe we're on the same wavelength, but just a shout out to all of our employees who show up every day committed to making a difference in the life of a child. And so for that, I'm grateful and want to say thank you for making a difference.
Thank you. That concludes board member comments. We will move on to action items. And members, we have the minutes from September 11th and September 20th, because it didn't make our highlights somehow, but we had a special meeting to discuss the model policies and get a legal update. And it was so much fun. We had that on September 20th, and we have minutes from both of those meetings. So members, do I have a motion to accept both sets of minutes? Thank you, Mr. Cross. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Is there any discussion? Is there any problem with doing both of them together? Okay, very, very well. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We have approved the minutes. The next item on the agenda is field trips. Dr. Shiflett?
Chair Lohr and members of the board, I have several field trips for your consideration. East Rockingham High School, the FFA National Convention, October 29th through November 5th, 2023, 11 students in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sidebar, I plan to be there as well. Turner Ashby High School, DECA State Leadership Conference, February 29th through March 3rd, 2024, 8 students at Virginia Beach. Youth in Government, April 11th through the 13th, 2024, 6 students, Richmond, Virginia. One Act Virginia Theater Association Conference, October 26th to the 29th of 2023, 17 students to Richmond, Virginia. And the Virginia Thespian, January the 3rd through the 6th, 2024, 8 students, McLean, Virginia. And I do recommend approval of these field trips.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Do we have a motion?
I move to follow superintendent's recommendation to approve these field trips.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Any discussion? Additional sidebar, I'm going to be in Indianapolis as well, and we're looking forward to it. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the field trips as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. Next item on the agenda is a request to use an RFP for keyless entry. Oh, Mr. Reed.
Chair Lohr, Dr. Shiflett, members of the board, I'm coming to you this evening with 2 things about the keyless entry. We're requesting approval to use competitive negotiations with a request for proposal in lieu of competitive bidding for the installation of a keyless entry system for Rockingham County Public Schools. By using the RFP, we can further evaluate the different systems available and decide on the proper system for Rockingham County Public Schools. The major evaluation categories will be based on company's qualifications at 20 points, product acceptability and availability at 25 points, ability to install 20 points, and price 35 points. I'm also asking for approval for the following individuals to serve on the RFP selection committee. Myself, Doug Alder for Assistant Superintendent, Justin Moyers, Chief Financial Officer, Mark Klaczynski, Maintenance Facilitator, Matt Rickard, Coordinator of Network Services, Kevin Dolfmeyer, Supervisor of School Resource Officers, and Emily Holloway, Principal of Elkton Middle School.
Thank you.
I recommend that the school board approve the use of competitive negotiations with the request for proposal and the RFP selection committee for the keyless entry system for all Rockingham County Public Schools as presented by Steve Reed, Director of Maintenance.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Members, to have a motion?
I move that we follow the superintendent's recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Any discussion?
Yeah, how long do you think the process may take?
We're hoping to be at the point to be negotiating or award the contract by the first of the year, January timeframe, hopefully, with giving go ahead to start working and have everything in place by the start of next school year.
And what doors are you thinking about using this?
Yeah, wow, that's a good question, isn't it? So we've done a couple of surveys. Dr. Aldifer had put out a survey and asked some schools. We then narrowed it back down, looking at the different schools. We've since then expanded that again, looking at main entryways, entryways that are used by the faculty and staff regularly, entryways that are into playground areas, normally used by the faculty or staff with students. It would not be every exterior door. We've narrowed things down pretty closely on the elementary schools and the middle schools. We're still in discussions about the high schools at this time and how we're going to handle that. So to answer your question is a lot of them, not all of them. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll now vote on the motion to follow the superintendent's recommendation to approve competitive negotiations with a request for proposal and the RFP selection committee for the keyless entry system for all Rockingham County Public Schools, as presented by Steve Reed, Director of Maintenance. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now, I believe you have another item for us, declaration of surplus.
Yes, Chair Lord, this is probably one of your favorite
It's my favorite,
times.
you
yes,
know it.
Yes, and favorite things. So we've got an attached list here to the memo of items for surplus. I'm asking that you all declare these surplus so that we can start offering them for online auction. Our plan is to have the first auction go online, be posted Thursday with a closing date of Friday, and then hopefully following every week after that until all of the surplus items are gone.
Wonderful. Dr. Shiflett?
I recommend that the school board declare the list of items as surplus property for the online public auction as presented by Steve Reed, Director of Maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Shiflett. Members, do I have a motion?
I move to follow the superintendent's recommendation to declare the list of items as surplus property for online public auction as presented by Steve Reed, Director of Maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Is there any discussion?
Good things.
Yeah, they're great things like wobbly carts and some maybe not in great shape easels that somebody could maybe fix up. Let's see. There's a couple buses that are on the list that how old are the buses?
Yes.
20-year-old buses. One's from 1999. That's a whole nother century ago. So there are some great items on this list. It is, if you want a deal on something, I highly recommend checking out the auctions. And I think since we've gone to the online auction, I want to say it's been more lucrative, but that's not even the right. It's been easier
It's opened the doors to a greater possibility for more people to partake. I used to say bid early and often, now I say click early and often.
There you go. Go ahead and set that maximum bid high.
There you go.
Because it's a lot of stuff that is, it's just outlived its purpose for schools, but maybe there's still a little bit of life in it if you want to use it lightly. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote on the motion to follow the superintendent's recommendation to declare the list of items as surplus property for the online auction as presented by Steve Reed. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion
you.
carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And that concludes our action items for the evening. We will move on to information items. And I believe we're going to start with Mrs. Donna Abernathy and Ms. Amanda Rickard. You're going to present standards-based grading pilot.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chairwoman Lohr, school board members, Dr. Shiflett, for providing us this opportunity to share with you a little bit of our insights with our standards-based grading pilot. Earlier in the summer, the board approved this pilot for the school division, so Ms. Rickard and I got right on the ball and put some information out to teachers to see who might be interested in participating in the standards-based grading pilot. With me tonight are really the brains of this pilot and all the work that goes on behind the scenes. Amanda Rickard, math supervisor, right here. And then we've also asked Kate Hollenberg, she's a BHS math teacher who's been using standards-based grading for a while as well, anticipating you may have some questions because she actually utilizes this in her classroom every day. So wanted to bring her aboard as well. So the agenda is there in front of you. Let me hit the... So we are going to talk about the following things up on the agenda in your packet tonight. School board members, you're provided with the same materials that have been distributed to all students and families who are in this pilot program. So you should have a letter to families about the pilot program accompanied with detailed information about standards-based grading items, which are all those items listed up on the agenda. A letter to families about the Mastery Connect portal and the login for Mastery Connect. Mastery Connect is an assessment tool for all teachers in the school division, but we're also using it for the grading purposes for the standards-based grading. We can't use PowerSchool for that purpose at this point, and Ms. Rickard's going to talk about that here in just a few moments. Additionally, information on how to activate the parent portal and Mastery Connect, you've been given that information, and also Ms. Rickard created a video that was sent out to the families so they could follow along the video as well. So on the agenda, we're going to talk about what is standards-based grading, how does it work, comparison with traditional grading, how will standards-based grading improve student outcomes, grading scale and descriptors, progress reporting and final grades, and the Marzano method. And then finally, Ms. Hollenberg will wrap us up with a teacher's reflection about standards-based grading. So we have a wide array of content areas being represented in the standards-based grading. You can see we have math, social studies, science, English challenge, CTE, EL, and world language. So we have 31 teachers involved in the standards-based grading, and what's great in some of our middle schools, the entire teams are involved with standards-based grading pilot as well. And you might ask, like, really, what is standards-based grading? What does that mean? When we think about grading, the purpose of grading itself is to assess, document, and communicate students' understanding of their knowledge and skills. And in the traditional system that we use now, the A, B, C, D, that's all 10-point scales, and an F, which is a 59-point scale, it can be unclear what the overall grade for assignments or the term can actually mean about a student's skill and knowledge. So is a grade based on being compliant, or submitting homework, or just homework completion? Or is a grade to communicate what a student actually knows about the content of a class or a skill? And it doesn't mean that compliance or doing homework or turning things in on time isn't important. That's just done separately. It's really not part of student knowledge of how they've acquired a skill or knowledge about a content. So, our definition of standards-based grading is improves on traditional practices, which is the A, B, C, D, that's a 10-point scale, the F, that's a 59-point scale, by providing clearer and more detailed feedback, and you're going to hear a lot about feedback, probably from Ms. Hollenberg, to students using specific learning goals, which come from the state standards. So how does standards-based grading work? If you have any conversations with teachers about grading, grading is very personal to them. It's a very personal situation about how they feel like they assess students' knowledge. And it can be a hot debate item at times, as I've discovered in my career, having conversations about grading. But it is very personal. It can be subjective at times based on the individual teacher's policies, whether or not the floor of a grade is a 0 or maybe it's a 50, or during COVID times, we made the floor of a grade would be a 40. It was the lowest grade that they could receive, or if they're penalized for turning in late work. And I truly believe that just because we've been practicing and participating in a system that's probably well over 100 years old, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do and that it's best for children. So when we think about how standards-based grading works, instead of giving points for assignments, standards-based grading gives a score for each skill or learning goal assessed by the assignment. So again, we're looking at the skill and the goal. Learning goals come directly from the Virginia Standards of Learning or national standards guiding how the content is taught and assessed. And for report cards, the 4-point scale converts to letter grades, just as percentages do. So Ms. Rickard's going to talk more about the scale that we've come up with. So a 4 is going to be the top of the scale, then a 3, then a 2, then a 1, and then there's a 0 for students who haven't attempted anything. But Ms. Rickard will go into that in a little more detail. There's also no difference in how grades are reported on transcripts. I know that that can be a concern of parents and students as they're going off to college and looking at scholarships and whatnot. But there is a conversion scale using the Marzano method about how the standards-based grading scale is actually converted into a letter grade. So it's on transcripts the same way it would be for any of the other classes. So here's a chart about standards-based grading comparison with traditional grading. So on the left-hand side is traditional grading. So you'll see it uses the 100% scale. Again, I've already referenced 10 points for an A, 10 for a B, 10 for a C, 10 for a D, and 59%, which constitutes failure. Some might argue that that 59% is weighted too heavily than a 10% to get an A, a B, a C, and a D. When you got 40% to pass, but you got 59% to fail when you think about the weights of a scale. So there is kind of an imbalance on that. Standards-based grading uses the 4-point scale, and the 4 items are listed in this chart. Again, Ms. Rickard will go over that in just a moment as well. Traditional grading assignments are graded by deducting points for mistakes and wrong answers. And if you look at the difference with standards-based grading, assignments are opportunities to practice and demonstrate mastery of skills. If you've ever heard the term fail forward, like how many of us have failed forward, right? And don't we usually learn more by our mistakes and that we have to relearn, we have to be retaught, we fail forward, and we learn by that. That's what standards-based grading is. We don't get deducted because, oh, we didn't get it right? And now we've got a failing grade or we got an 80 or whatever it is, and the ship has sailed and we're moving on. So it's a little bit different with the standards-based grading. The next one is the traditional grading. The grade is an average of all points earned and missed for the whole year. So when I think about that, I think it should be a not yet scenario. So I have a hard time thinking that students who don't understand a skill or they don't have mastery of a skill in October, but they get it in January or February, it's too late for them to recoup that because they've got a grade. And that grade gets averaged with the terms. Term 1, Term 2, Term 3, and Term 4 get averaged for the end of the year grade. So we're penalizing students who don't understand something in October, but again, the ship has sailed, the term's been reported, right? But they get it in January or February, and they can't go back and recoup that. But in standards-based grading, the term grade is just a snapshot in time of a student's current skill. As standards-based grading, it's a grade for the entire year. So think in your college classes, you had 1 grade for a semester, and that was it. You got progress reporting things, that you were given, how well you were doing in the class, but it was 1 grade. That's what this is. It's 1 grade for the year. So during the terms, it's a snapshot in time in Power School. So right now, you might have a B because you may not have the mastery of the subject yet because it's only October, right? We don't expect you to get mastery until the end of the school year. The next one is the grade is masked by extra credit. This is traditional grading. extra credit, completion scores, late penalties, and zeros for missing work, which does not clearly communicate a student's knowledge and understanding of the course content. And in standards-based grading, the grade is based entirely on data provided by assignments, assessments, student conferences, and observations which communicate clearly a student's level of knowledge and understanding of the course content. So again, are we getting graded on compliance or just completion of homework or turning in your box of tissues at the beginning of the year? Like, we shouldn't be getting graded on that. Finally, traditional grading, one size fits all. It is not a one size fits all t-shirt for our students. We all know that. We want individualized instruction for our students. We need to meet them where they are. We all know students don't learn at the same pace, right? Someone might get the skill in October, someone else might not get it until February, but they got it because it's a not yet kind of philosophy. And then standards-based grading is very student-centered, okay? All right, how will standards-based grading improve student outcomes? In a traditional system, I think that many students are focused on, what do I need to do to get an A? It's not, what do I need to do to learn the skill or learn the content or the mastery of something? It's what do I need to do to get an A? And they jump through the hoops and they play the game, the proverbial game, right? So, how standards-based grading will improve student outcomes? It does not punish students for behavioral issues, for like late work or not submitted or not being compliant. Provides more detailed feedback on what students know and can do based on their skills. Conversations about grades become conversations about learning. So there's a lot of teacher and student conversations together, and they do a lot of conferencing. Provides opportunities for revision and assessment, and rewards progress and encourages the kind of healthy mistakes that facilitate learning. Again, back to the fail forward. We all fail forward, we learn from those mistakes, and quite often we're better for that. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Rickard, and she can talk about the grading scale and descriptors.
Hi. So you can see on the presentation that we came up with a 0 to 4 grading scale that was actually developed with the teachers that are in the pilot. So they had a chance to give input. And we have names for each level, but then we had teacher descriptors so to help a teacher understand what it means for a student to be at each level. Like that, it was already said that 0 to 4 scale works really well, or why it can be helpful. It works really well because it is the same scale that is already used to calculate your GPA, so there's no change for students in how their GPA will be calculated. An A is a 4 already, so it's the same there. One thing that it becomes easier is that for a teacher to know where a student's level is, if you only have 5 levels you're picking from instead of 100 levels you're picking from, it's a lot easier for teachers and students to know what does it mean to be at a level 3, what do I need to do to get to a level 4, versus if I'm at an 88, what do I need to do to get to a 93, for example. It's a little bit clearer because there's a lot less levels. Also, you can see here, we already talked about that this creates a equal increment grading scale where you can see on the picture there, the traditional scale, the F is much larger. So if a student is having a hard time and struggling or just going through a rough spot in life, and they do poorly or they forget to do some things and get that 0 isn't quite a jump to get out of the F range or that lower part of the scale on a standards-based grading scale. I showed you the scale already with the teacher verbiage. We wanted to make one that was also student and parent friendly. So this is a poster that we had designed for our teachers that are in the pilot program to be able to display in their classes so that it will help students know what does it mean when they score a 3 on a standard, or what is expected for them to go up a level. And this is just an example of what it means, what it might look like for if you're assessing a skill So our exceeding expectation is they can meet the expectations stated by the standard, but they can also apply it to new situations. So we want our students to be able to transfer the skills that they learn in our classrooms to new situations. Meeting expectation means you can do exactly what the skill says in the standard, or understanding of the content knowledge. Approaching the expectation means you can do it, but you still need some support. Beginning means you can only meet that standard if you have a lot of support. And then if you're not even around the bike, then there's not enough evidence to determine what level you are at. Like Mrs. Abernathy said, we have Power Schools, what we usually use to do grades and to keep parents up to date on student progress. Because most of our teachers are using a traditional grading scale, it gets too complicated to try to run both of them on the same system. So we have a new assessment platform this year, Mastery Connect, and it is all about tracking standards and student progress on standards. So it seemed to work really well with this system. So we have all of our standards-based grading pilot teachers using this. And the screenshots you can see on here are what a parent or a student would see when they logged into their parent portal. So you can see it says that big circle at the top, 57% in mastery. That means the student has mastered 57% of the standards that have been assessed to this point. It breaks it down in color codes, every single standard that is a student has taken an assessment on. So at quick glance, parents or students can see where their struggles are. And then if you click the little arrow, it will even show you every single assessment score that was given to the student there. So we have just sent this information out to teachers to send home to parents so that they can be keeping up to date on their child's progress, since it is not in Power School. But the final grade at the end of each grading term will be put into Power School. So for the final grade, we do need to convert it back to a letter grade for the current system that we use. So Marzano is a world-renowned educator that has knowledge in this area and has dedicated a lot of his professional career around this work. So we adopted what is known as the Marzano method. They take up what they score each level that they're at for their overall standards at the end of a grading period. They would average it and use this scale to convert it back to a letter grade. And again, it was said that the letter grade is just a snapshot in time until the very final grade. So if a student isn't doing well or they're not happy with it at the end of the second 9 weeks, that is not set in stone. They have a chance for the whole second semester to work about bringing in or raising their scores on those standards. And now we'll have Kate Hollenberg share her insight.
Hello. Most of what I wanted to say, they asked me to talk about the why. Why did I start this? And they hit a lot of the topics. I've been doing this for at least 9 years, maybe 10, over 2 school divisions. And I actually got introduced to this at a conference. And I said, this is what I've been looking for. Like, I have been looking for something to make grading meaningful, to make the feedback more direct for me, direct for the students, and I said, this is exactly what I need. So I have had time to refine it and tweak it here and there, and different settings have kind of changed, but I'll tell you the main reasons why I have stuck with this, and I do this mainly in Algebra 2. I haven't expanded it yet. Part of that is functioning within Power School, and like if we expand later, then I will include my other classes too. But my first big why is that these grades are meaningful. They're meaningful to me as a teacher because I can look and see exactly what topics the student understands and which ones they don't understand. So it provides really targeted remediation for me at a really quick glance. And not only just me, but the students. So my goal is to make students good self-reflective learners and be able to look at an assignment and say, wow, look at what I did really well on. Look what I actually understand. I did good on that. But also to look at man, I really need to work on this. And most students get their quiz back and they go, oh, yeah, I didn't know how to do that, which is really good feedback, right? That's the one thing you need to work on. You don't need to work on everything. You just need to work on that one piece, and that gives people hope. Oh, well, I really know all these other things. It's just this one little thing I have to work on. I also like that it gives students a chance to show mastery over time, right? I don't like the idea of, well, we assessed you in the second week of school, but you were absent 3 days and you were sick over here and like you just didn't know what was going on. Well, you can show me that you understand that topic now when everybody else is assessing, or you can show it to me 2 months from now when you finally get it. And at any point in time, I can go back and replace your grade as long as you can prove to me that you understand it. So it gives people that hope, right? I can go back and fix my failures or my mistakes at any point in time. And I mean, like to tie into that, this content really has to spiral on top of itself. So it's not just that we assess the standard one time and then never come back to it. You have to assess multiple snapshots of that standard all the way throughout the year. So it keeps the content coming back and ensures that you actually understand it not only on day one, but also on the very last day of school. So it keeps content fresh for students, which is sort of a side bonus. And it's a true reflection of mastery. So I think they talked about the grades, like there's no room for extra credit. There's no room for bringing in the box of tissues. There's like, you have to work for it. You have to show me that you understand the content, which is my job, right? I'm supposed to teach you the content and you demonstrate that you understand it, whether it's today or the last day of school, as long as you understand it. So it's really pure grading, pure mastery. There's lots of ways that it could be used. It could be used vertically, so I could like print off the list of things that my student was great at and pass it on to the teacher that comes after them and say, here's what they're really good at, but here's what you might want to target for next year. So there's lots of opportunities where this could be, again, really useful data. I think that was most of what I had about the why. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer. These guys, we did not plan this, but both of them have been through one of my classes with standards-based grading.
So you like it?
I recommend it. What she was saying.
2 thumbs up.
It really does help like individually like, see what you're good at and see what you can work on.
It's the only way I remember it, because now I can help my sister with algebra.
Nice. And nice that you're helping your sister. And I kind of understand how it works in a math class. How would it work in a class that doesn't necessarily build like history or other classes?
I mean, they're really tied to the standards ultimately. And so if you're a good teacher, you should be spiraling back through those standards, putting review on each unit test at the very least, so that when you hit the SOL at the end of the year, you're not like, oh man, I haven't seen this since, September. So it's easy to build in those quick reviews onto a test or quiz and just add those other touch points. Like, it doesn't require recreating the wheel necessarily.
And it doesn't become overburdensome, like, okay, now students aren't handing in work, and we've got like Drake at one spot and Jackson at a different spot in our lesson, and now you as a teacher have to teach both of them differently. Does it wind up like that? And thank you guys for volunteering to be part of the presentation.
Sometimes, especially when students are absent, right? Like if you're not ready to take the assessment. But a lot of schools have advisory time built into the day, and that is a really great opportunity to pull those students in for either reassessments. So like, I totally bombed this the first time I took it, but like I'm ready to show you that I know it now, and and they're short. I have reassessments made up for each different topic, and when the student has shown me that they understand the topic through extra practice or different alternatives, then I can give them maybe a 2-question quiz on that topic, and they show me that they get it, and it replaces their grade. So yeah, advisory has been a really great opportunity to use for things like that. So I still do teach forward, not necessarily on an individual basis, but yeah, pull people in through gaps that way.
If this is scaled wider, how does it affect some of the more advanced classes and kids that are on college or like trajectories, AP, dual enrollment, honors, with the SPG grading back to a regular, number model? Do you see what I'm saying? Because I know like
right.
AP gets an extra point on a GPA, dual enrollment gets an extra point. And also, is there an accreditation issue?
I'm going to pass this question to somebody else who knows better than I do.
So it actually should not affect it differently since it all goes back to, that extra point comes back to your 0 to 4 scale. It goes to 0 to 5. So they would just get it added on the same way that it happens in a regular class.
And then follow up on that, is there any college admissions issues with SPG grading systems versus a traditional? I mean, if we're switching to this, are they going to look at this division's doing this? It might affect our kids' chance at, admissions.
I believe the answer to that question is no, it doesn't affect it. We still report grades at every grading period. So like if a senior is having to report their grades early for college, they would still get a letter grade at that point. There are many school divisions across the United States that do this, and I've watched some webinars and stuff from other school divisions. And my understanding is many colleges are used to this kind of thing, and also they're used to a variety of grading methods more than just the traditional ones, so they all tend to know how to handle it okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, my question was kind of close to that, was how accurate is it when it translates over from the regular grading system over to where we're going when it comes to the GPA average?
So it should be pretty, you mean if we switch to a standards-based grading, like?
If you get a bunch of threes, your kid gets a bunch of threes, how's that going to get up to a 4?
So they would have time to make it up throughout the year, but they could still, if you got solid 3s, hold on, let me look at this to make sure I'm telling you. Yeah, a 3 is still an A- on that scale. So if a student got all 3s, every single standard was a 3, they would get an A- for the year.
So as long as students are getting 3s or 4s, they would get an A.
Okay.
If there are others mixed in, then it might drop it a little bit lower. But.
Do you have any idea how many divisions throughout the state went to this grading?
So I don't know holistically, like I know there are some, Salem City has done it, Charlottesville, Albemarle, but I don't, some of those divisions that are doing it, there's some Northern Virginia ones too, that I've just happened to see off the top, like when I search stuff online. But some are, maybe all their secondary teachers are doing it, or it's actually really popular in the elementary world too. And then sometimes it's a school by school basis. So I'm not exactly sure the number overall.
Thank you.
So what's our next step? And is that a Ms. Abernathy question? Or a Dr. Shiflett question? Because I'm assuming we can't be like, we can't stay in both worlds forever because Power School and it doesn't like that.
That's absolutely, you're correct. Right, we can't really live with both. So I think the purpose for this year is to pilot this. I think 31 teachers, so think about those teachers and all their students. And let's get some feedback. Right? We have a testimonial here from 2. Well, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up here. But we want to talk to more folks and get more information. Are students able to earn A's just as easily in this, in this method as they were versus the traditional method? What does it look like? And I think more importantly is the focus on learning. And it is what it is. And Mrs. Abernathy mentioned this earlier. People are passionate about grading, right? I mean, you talk to any teacher, any student, they have a philosophy about it, and however they do it is the right way. But maybe it doesn't always coincide with other folks' thoughts. So people are very passionate about this. So we've been talking about grading now for 2 years, right? We've been having conversations, working in committees, talking with teachers about what can we do and what are some other options. And this is I think could be a viable option. I'm not saying this is the way we should go, but it warrants a close look. See what's happening. And does this then force students to focus more on learning and less on earning? Right? And it's okay to go earn a living, but we're talking about learning and learning the subject, the content matters, so you can help your sister with algebra or algebra 2, as opposed to I checked the box, I got an A, and I moved on, right? So to real focus on learning and this idea of failure. It's okay in this model to fail and not know because you can reassess, you you can come back and demonstrate your mastery later. And I also, I think about learning in terms of, I'm a bit of a gardener. And so I was out yesterday, and we always, for some reason, plant our garden late, and I'm out in my tomato patch. Some of my tomatoes were ripe, and I was picking them off. They were ready. Some of them still aren't ready. They're hanging on, right? But you know what? I keep getting some rain, and I keep taking care of them, right? Eventually, they will get there. And I think this gives kids a sense of hope that they can get there, right? And so I think it's worth considering looking at. So I think we're going to get more information from teachers. We'll have more conversations. We'll solicit feedback from students. We'll solicit feedback from parents, and then we can have some information to maybe say, how do we go forward? This is not something that would be an easy switch to turn either. It would take us time to implement something like this division-wide.
So speaking of those late planted tomatoes, what happens to the kid that's the procrastinator? Got any procrastinators in your class? Is your procrastinator? So like so is there the tendency to say, I don't feel like studying for the test tonight, I'll do it tomorrow? And is that a problem in this model?
Well, I will say that, first of all, I don't grade any practice. So students have to learn. I can choose to do my practice and be ready for the quiz, or I can choose to not do my practice and not be ready for the quiz. And there are some kids who don't need to do the practice because they understand it and it clicks right away. And that's fine. They're not getting penalized for not doing it. But if you're somebody who needs a lot of extra practice and you're not choosing to do that, then when you come for your quiz unprepared, then your grade reflects that, and then you need to spend double the effort reassessing. So they have to put in a reassessment request for me, and that involves quiz corrections and extra practice and then a reassessment. So it's not easy, and if it's abused, I have the right to take it away. It's not usually, though. It takes one or two, and they figure it out.
That makes sense. Any other questions, board members?
Yes. 31 teachers, what grade levels?
It's all at the secondary level, so 6th grade through high school.
I would like Dr. Shiflett to have an overall census from all teachers of what they think at the end of this, even those maybe not went through it, but what's the overall census from all teachers of how they feel about this as well. So just thinking ahead of time of sending out some type of survey, asking teachers that the board can hear back from of what's the consensus amongst teachers in Rockingham County going to this grading system.
Sure, that's great.
Any additional questions, board members? Paul?
Thank you all for your work on this. And gentlemen, thank you for your feedback. That's very important for us to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
The next item on our agenda is the update on the 2023 Virginia Department of Education model policies. Dr. Shiflett.
All right, thank you, Chair Lohr. So this is more of an informational item, not for the board members, but more for the community, and trying to be transparent in our work and what we're doing as far as looking at these model policies. So last Wednesday, September 20th, our school board, Dr. Aldifer and I met with our legal counsel to discuss the model policies. And our legal counsel spent several hours working with us, and she highlighted each of the sections or categories that are within the model policies, and then she compared those to our current RCPS policy. So we had a comparisons. And according to the comparison offered by our legal counsel, of the 8 components, RCPS is consistent with or more comprehensive than the model policies with 6 of those. So 6 of the 8 we are consistent with or more comprehensive than. So there are 2 sections where we need to either add policies or alter our current practices. And I think after adjourning with her, the plan was to reconvene another meeting in closed session to talk with her about how we should go about addressing those 2 sections where we're not in compliance. So again, looking at the comparison between what we're currently doing and our school board policy and our practices, we in some ways are pretty close. We're getting there. We're not fully there, but we're pretty close to adhering consistent with, more comprehensive than the model policy.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Board members, any comments?
Madam Chair, in lieu, because of the briefing we got from our council and the fact that we are meeting or exceeding the criteria for so many, I would like to ask to amend the agenda to make this an item that we can take action on tonight. And I will make that as a motion to amend the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. So we have a motion to amend the agenda to allow for consideration of the question tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote to amend the agenda so that we can consider the question this evening. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We can now consider the question tonight. Do I have a question?
I have a motion.
That's, yes.
Madam Chair, as the Rockingham County School Board has existing policies in place that address 6 of the 8 areas required by Virginia Code Section 22.1 through 23.2, particularly as those areas relate to compliance with applicable non-discrimination laws, maintenance of a safe and supportive learning environment free from discrimination and harassment for all students, prevention of and response to bullying and harassment, maintenance of school records, protection of student privacy and the confidentiality of sensitive information, and enforcement of sex-based dress codes. And upon the belief that the school board's current policies and practices are consistent with, if not more comprehensive than, related model policies A, B, C, E, and F of the Virginia Department of Education model policies to ensure privacy, dignity, and respect for all students and parents in Virginia's public schools, I move that the school board authorize and direct the superintendent to develop proposed policy revisions that incorporate references to these sections of the model policies, as well as any other suggested model revisions to the current and applicable existing Rockingham School Board policies, with the board to undertake a continued review and consideration of model policies D, G, and H.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Falk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do I have any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to have a copy of what Mr. Falk read tonight, and for us not to vote on this tonight. The public has been waiting since July 18th, since the model policy came out. Governor Youngkin sent the policy out. This board was not going to address the model policy until I brought it up at the last two school board meetings ago. I asked for the Governor Youngkin's model policy to be voted on because tens of thousands of citizens here in Rockingham County voted for Governor Youngkin and for these policies that he would put in place when he was voted into office. So tonight, all of you knew that I was going to move tonight for a motion to approve Governor Youngkin's model policy as presented. And in trying to push that aside, you're trying to go with this and still reject his model policy, and teamed up together tonight apparently before we came out here to put this on. So this is not the first time you guys have talked about this. And tonight what I would like to do is to put what Mr. Falk presented tonight on hold. What's been presented to us and what we've gone over with legal counsel for over almost 4 hours was the model policy. And during our legal counsel's time with our legal counsel advised us that Governor Youngkin's model policy was not illegal. We can adopt his model policy. And what I would say to this is that many people, especially on the board, you have reflected that we didn't adopt Governor Northam's model policy. Well, they're apples and oranges when you look at them. One is wanting to allow boys to play in girls' sports and take down gender bathroom signs Where the other model policy, which is a good policy by Governor Youngkin, it is for all students, not just for some, but it is for all students, and it follows the law. It follows state law, federal law, it follows the Virginia Constitution, and it follows our Supreme Court rulings as well. So this is a very good model policy for us to be voting on for our constituents. Out of the 5 of 7 school board candidates that are running, that we're getting ready to have an election here in November, 5 of them have also said that they want to adopt the model policy as well. And so clearly, we're getting ready to go into a new school board coming into the beginning of the year. And so I would like to reflect whatever put this on hold tonight, whatever Mr. Folk has presented. And also, because all of you knew tonight that I was going to present a motion to follow Governor Youngkin's model policy, because I believe the community needs to know where you all stand on the model policy, whether you're going to accept it or whether you're going to reject it. So that would be, Ms. Laura, what I would ask for tonight.
Mr. Folk, can you please put in more layman terms what your motion is? Because what I heard was to accept 6 of the model policies and continue to work on the sections D, G, and H. Is that, in a nutshell, what you had there?
What I've asked to do is for the areas currently in Rockingham Public Schools policy that basically meet or exceed, they're in compliance with or more comprehensive than the model policies, let's go ahead and fold them into the policy as footnotes and citations on the policy that these policies meet or exceed. And continue to study the other areas that we haven't come to a decision on.
Which ones is that, Mr. Folk? D, G, and E? Are you?
D, G, and H.
Yeah, D, G, and H. So please tell me what D is, G is, and H is, or you can point to me here.
D is the identification of students.
I see H is athletics. So we're going to allow.
No, we're just going to continue to work on those policies.
What's
That
wrong
will-
with Youngkin's policy on H?
It's just not currently in our policy manual, so we need to work on it to.
Why wouldn't you adopt what Youngkin has in H with athletics, which is not against the law? And the AG has come out with his opinion as well on this matter.
Madam Chair, I'd like to get these that I have listed already off the, get that wrapped up so that we can continue discussion on the other parts of the policy. We have a motion on the floor. It's been properly second. Madam Chair, I'd like to call the question.
Oh, so you're calling the question. Calling the question, I believe, is not amendable, not debatable, and it basically we vote immediately.
Well, of course you would do that, because you're
Well,
not going to say,
that's-
you're not going to say D, G, or H. I mean, we follow Robert's rules when we
The
want
question
to,
has
but
been called.
we're going
No, I
to follow it
believe-
now.
Call the question. I actually have a Parley Pro.
Yeah, but we follow
I
it
have
when
a
it,
Parley
when we
Pro,
follow it when it best suits, but we're not
Mr.
following that.
Klaus, you do not have the floor. You do not have the floor.
I would like to know, I asked,
You do not have the floor.
I asked.
I have the floor.
You got a gavel, and you're not being
Call the
kind
question.
right
Is
now.
that amendable or debatable? Okay,
D-
thank you.
D,
So
G,
we are
and H.
calling the question. The question basically is to accept, I'm sorry.
Please let the
Mr.
public
Folk,
know what
can you
D,
please-
G, and H is.
Can you please succinctly explain your motion so that we know what exactly we're voting on?
Basically, I've asked, I move that the school board authorize and direct the superintendent to develop policy revisions that incorporate reference to these sections A, B, C, E, and F of the model policies, as well as any other suggested policy revisions to the current and applicable existing Rockingham County School Board policies, and the board to undertake a continued review and consideration of model policies D, G, and H.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Actually, I didn't hear all those votes. Clerk, can you please do a roll call vote?
Mr. Cross?
Nay.
Mr. Folk?
Aye.
Chair Lohr?
Aye.
Dr. McQuilkin?
Aye.
Mr. Dixon?
Vote of abstention.
Thank you. The motion carries 3-1-1. The model policies, basically A, B, C, D, and F, will be folded into our current model, our current policy handbook, and we will continue to work on D and G and H. The next thing on our agenda is the RCPS School Board Working Agreement. Dr. Shiflett.
At our last meeting, I shared draft 2 of the working agreement, and I'm once again bringing this item back for discussion. I do not anticipate it coming for action. This is a document that we are collaborating together to agree to, and so I basically wanted to ask, do any of the school board members have any additions or deletions or edits that they would like to suggest or recommend?
Members, do we have any amendments to the, or anything else we'd like to add into the working board agreement with Dr. Shiflett? Dr. McQuilkin?
The working board agreement follows the character counts, the citizenship, caring, trustworthiness, fairness, responsibility, and respect. We expect this of our students. We should expect this of ourselves.
Thank you. Anything further? I guess we'll get back with you again.
Yes, that's
We'll
fine, and we
continue
get
to
to a
work on
point
that?
where we feel like it's our best draft, then we can bring it for action. But I wanted to make sure that we had opportunities for folks to give feedback and felt like it was something we were all agreeable to, and we have a consensus that this is what we want to adhere to. And again, I do like the fact that we are basing on our 6 pillars of character.
Very good. Thank you. We will now move on to school board questions, and we're going to start with Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon, do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Shiflett, following up from a few meetings ago, where are we now currently with the digital ticketing? And as we roll into fall sports, have we gotten any update on where we are in that process or what's going on with it?
Mr. Dixon, I've not received any further communications from the athletic directors. Dr. Alderful, I don't know if you've had any conversations with them. It was, I think, maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago now. Time slips by me here, but I believe they were bringing some information to us, wanting to have some conversations and then determine whether or not it's something we wanted to enact at the winter sports. So I'm not sure what the consensus is of the school board and what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, no, I just, talking with Mr. Cross and a few of the board members, I think I talked with you, Ms. Lohr. I didn't talk with you, Dr. McQuilkin. But there were some concerns after that presentation that I had. I know Mr. Cross had mentioned that the Spotswood already has them in place. They have the materials. So it seemed like one of those things of if we've already got the materials, where are we at in the process? How are we doing it? And if it didn't come to us for approval, where we need to be at with it. So just wanted to not forget about it, circle back to it. So
Okay.
thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Dr. McQuilkin?
The agenda says school board questions, and I do have a comment. Okay. I believe that in honor of transparency, we brought the model policies back up for information this evening. And we, the school board, as Dr. Shiflett said, we spent 3.5, 4 hours with the school attorney to talk about these policies and to help everybody understand this is not one policy. We don't vote it up, we don't vote it down. These are 8 separate policies, and we looked at every single one in depth to see whether our current school board policies we're in line with each of the 8 of the policies. And we found that, as you heard, 6 of the 8, we were already in alignment. And this policy is about not discriminating. We don't discriminate. We support every single one of our students. And because we are supportive of every one of our students, we are taking our time. And as you can see, we have been operating under these policies that were in the quote-unquote Governor Youngkin model policies as presented to all of the state of Virginia. I would also like to say that our policies have been good policies because we do respect every student. And we need to take our time to take a look at the other policies that are mentioned that we need to examine further, because this is a guidance document. Unfortunately, you have been told that it's a regulatory, meaning that we have to do it. No, it is a guidance policy. We were told it was a guidance policy, and we do it because it's the right thing to do for our students. And that's why we adopted the current policies that we adopted this evening, because it's the right thing to do and because we're already doing it. The other policies we need to look very carefully at.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Mr. Cross?
We're not following all of what is in Governor Youngkin's model policies, and we all know that. And this board has continually not listened to the public or parents over the past several years. And it's a shame tonight that the 3 of y'all ganged up, and instead of being held accountable to the policies that the overwhelming majority in Rockingham County, parents and constituents who voted Governor Youngkin in for, I would say, the main purpose over education and over our children was his running platform. And for you guys to reject that tonight and not even allow it to be voted on really shows the transparency that you're not offering over to the public. And so I don't appreciate not going over exactly what Mr. Falk, that's all I was asking tonight as you were beating the gavel. I don't appreciate you doing that. And only thing I wanted was to go over clearly what he was what he was making reference to in his motion, instead of just G, B, and D, or whatever it may have been. And so come November 7th, the public will speak, and on the first meeting in January, this will be up for information item. The second one, it will be up for an action item, and we will adopt in full Governor Youngkin's model policies in Rockingham County Public Schools. So let this be your legacy going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Falk?
I'll pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question. Do we have Rockingham County Public School students in the house tonight? Raise your hand. All you have to do is raise your hand so we can say hi to you. Thank you guys all for being here. You are truly what makes this job an honor, so thank you. And to our 2 speakers tonight, thank you. That was amazing for you guys to get up and speak. That is yes, let's give them a round of applause. I'm so glad that you're learning how to make the process work, and also that you had the courage to do that. That takes a lot for an adult, much less a student. So thank you all for participating in the process tonight. I think I'll go on over to Dr. Shiflett.
Yes, I don't have any questions, but at our last meeting, there were a couple of questions that came from some board members, and I've spoken to the individual board members about those situations, but I also, in complete transparency, if they ask me a question in public, I like to be able to address it in public. So that way people can, if those who are, paying attention and following this. So Mr. Dixon had asked me about trauma kits. And so I've asked our supervisor of transportation, also oversees safety, Travis Weeks, to explore some options to see what that price tag may be. And then we can determine if we look to make that purchase, this year, if it becomes part of the budget process. Ms. Lord asked me about looking at the possibility of installing bus cameras on our bus stops when the bus stop sign comes out. Looking at that, so I've spoken to our Director of Transportation, Mr. Chris Sowers, and we're exploring that. There will be, I think, we also need to get Sheriff Hutchinson at the table if we're going to move forward in that direction. And that also may be part of a budgetary item to some of our cameras already on our buses are a bit old, so that means we not only have to buy the camera for the stop arm, but all the cameras on the buses, so that may come at a cost, so we'll have to have conversations about that. And then Mr. Cross had asked me about getting some lessons or incorporation of 9/11 and Patriots Day, and so I've already spoken to Mr. Dixon about working with teachers to create some age-appropriate lessons next year when Patriot Day rolls around on 9/11 that we can incorporate for our teachers. We feel like that may be the best approach because that way we know it would be hit on that particular day as opposed to if it comes late in the school year, it may not happen. So trying to, again, publicly acknowledge your questions. So thank you.
I just want to say, I think you misspoke without hearing it yourself. You spoke to Mr. Dickinson, not Mr. Dixon.
Yeah, Mr. Dickinson. I'm sorry. I would talk to you too. I'm sorry. Bo Dickinson, our supervisor of
Just to
social
be clear.
studies. Yep, sorry about that.
When you're talking and thinking at the same time, this is not, it's not as easy as we make it look.
We make it look easy?
Okay. Thank you all for coming tonight. Please have safe travels home, but we have, members, we have reason to enter closed session. And the chair will move that the board enter a closed meeting to discuss and consider the following pursuant to the provisions of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, personnel, specific public officers, appointees, or employees for the purpose of considering such individuals' assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into closed session, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are in closed session. Thank you all for coming. Please have safe travels home.